Tell me if you've heard this before. A small indie game blows up in popularity, causing money-hungry corporations to swim in like sharks and milk the IP for everything it's worth, damaging its reputation and name. Sound familiar? Now guys, the game I'm referring to in this instance is Five Nights at Freddy's. Now let me put something into perspective. I am and was a giant fan of this game. I had plushies then that are worth thousands now. I had Fnaf themed birthday parties. I remember loving all the new mechanics, talking about it with my friends at school, making theories that even eventually came true. But over the years, the tone, size, and popularity of the game understandably changed. And I'm not sure if it was for the better, but that's what we're here to discuss today. What's going on, guys? My name is Boogs and welcome back to the channel. So let's go back in time real quick. Fnaf 1 released. YouTubers around the world were making videos, playing the game, and getting horrified by it. And for many of these creators, this was their career jumpstart. So as these games released and the popularity increased, we started getting merch, plushies, figures, McFarlane Lego sets. We went from one indie game to a giant franchise in a few short years. I was ecstatic. We then got Fnaf World, which was strange and got mixed reactions. So we had 5 games, lots of lore. It was just genuinely cool. Pizzeria Simulator came out along with Ultimate Custom Night. Now, they were very different, but just definitely awesome in their own. We even got a set of books, specifically the Silver Eyes, and everything seemed like it was on the up and up. But it all changed when Fnaf Security Breach came out. See, as these games got bigger, a change in direction started to happen. Security Breach was a buggy, broken, and convoluted mess, and the lore has been going down the same path in my opinion. A story that used to be about the paranormal has now changed to a weird and cringe sci-fi story. We also got a movie which I loved but also kind of resent because it feels like it was tainted by whatever gas the Security Breach developers were smoking. Now we also got the Into the Pit game as well, which is cool, but I'll talk about that a little more later. So I think the first order of business before I go into these new projects is to discuss what made the older games work and why, in my opinion, the older games in the gameplay, tone, and lore are much better and arguably more effective than its counterparts. So we'll start with the original 4. Fnaf 1 set the stage for this whole franchise, obviously, with its unique and innovative concept. The horror direction of the game was very different compared to its peers. You had nowhere to run, nowhere to defend yourself. All you could do was shut your doors, manage your powers, and survive. So as people played, they started noticing things, newspaper clippings referring to some sort of investigation about missing children. There was something wrong, very wrong. And that was it. Subtle lore sprinkled throughout. The atmosphere, along with the sound design, really sold the whole idea. But when Fnaf 2 released, and was bigger, better, and introduced even more lore, there was this thing people dug and realized, oh, this is a prequel. We got more information on the killer and the phone guy. Now, this game was scary, but I still believe the first one was much more freaky, but where it lacked in its horror, it improved in its gameplay. Fnaf 2's hectic gameplay, along with the much larger animatronic count in comparison to the first game's 5 if you count Golden Freddy, to this game's 11. You have no doors either, just your mask and a flashlight. We also got to look at the fan favorite, the puppet or marionette. Then Fnaf 3 came out, and we got our first look at the main man himself, William Afton. A shell of his human form as he stalks you, limping to your office, and the whole time you're getting haunted by the ghost of the animatronic from the first 2. With new vent mechanics and sound distraction mechanics and a lack of any sort of door, I truly appreciated the intensity this game brought with its burnt down aesthetics and its worn and mangled villain, who, might I mention, is designed beautifully. It was a great recipe for success, and Scott even claimed it was his last entry to the series. But as we all know, that was far from true. Fnaf 4 released and it was awesome. You're in a dark bedroom. It was a very relatable environment. You had to have the volume up as well because you needed to hear the animatronics breathing to even know what your next move is. And it's genuinely scary looking into the dark, pitch black hallway, waiting and listening, and you think you didn't hear anything, but then boom! A giant rabbit with 8 rows of teeth is in your face screaming, along with the disturbing and cryptic minigames. This was by far the most horrifying game in the franchise. So in conclusion, these games were subtle, eerie, intense. Subtlety was the point. Let's fast forward to now, where this is an actual joke. Spirit goo, shape-shifting robots, colorful and tropey games, way too many books, plushies have dropped in quality like no tomorrow, action figures all based off the ridiculous AR mobile game, like 4th of July Freddy? Really? A game that was once horrifying is now with the rest of the not scary mascot horror franchises. To think Fnaf has landed itself so deep in the gutter, getting really damn close to Hello Neighbor and Poppy Playtime is just sad. Now some will argue the games were never scary, and to that I say, if you think so. Let's start with Security Breach. A boring, colorful, broken mess with cringe designs, bad pacing, terrible UI, constant performance problems on all hardware. Not to mention the lack of any horror at all. Even Ruins wasn't scary. Like, did they really think adding some broken version of the Glam Box was gonna change that problem? Vanny was being seriously underused, Springtrap being disrespected again by being brought back for the 100th time, with each design being downgraded from the original, constant backtracking through a boring pizzaplex that no one asked for, voice acting that takes away all of what makes the animatronics scary. All of this combined with the lack of good writing in the lore department with retcons and constant changes and awful new additions. This series has seriously seen better days. Now, with the Into the Pit game being out, we can add this to another strange and weird game on the Fnaf list. Now, is Into the Pit as bad as Security Breach? Not at all. Is it as good as the classics? Also not at all. I mean, like, guys, the plushies now, they're awful. They have bad fabric, bad stitching, and just designs overall. They have these dumb slime and glow-in-the-dark pencils, just ridiculous and stupid stuff. Now let's talk about the movie. I'm mixed on this. One end, I loved every second of it, but I'm kind of perplexed how a movie based on the scariest game in the franchise is a movie I could show to a toddler and he or she wouldn't bat an eye. Growing up, Fnaf scared me, it was hard to play, I'd rather watch a Let's Play 90% of the time. Like, this movie's choice to avoid horror entirely, to be honest with you, it baffles me. Consider Blumhouse made some pretty decent Halloween slashers. You know, this movie had so many problems. I mean, I was very excited to hear that Matthew Lillard was gonna be Springtrap, but if I'm being real, his performance was kind of undermined by the lack of him being part of it. He comes in so, you know, I don't want to spoil everything, but spoiler warning, just to be safe. He comes in, you know, wearing the suit right at the end, and it's just kind of, you know, a little quick thing, and then he's Springtrap, I guess, and I don't know, it just felt weird. We didn't get to see much of him. We got very little of that, you know, part of the movie, and he was the part I was most excited for, so that's upsetting, to be honest with you. And not to mention, like, Help Wanted 2 came out, and I'm going to be honest, I wasn't a huge fan of that either. Now, I know some people are going to think I'm just hating to hate, and maybe at certain points, maybe I'm doing that and not noticing, but I'm telling you guys, I want you to take off the rose-colored glasses for 1 second and just look at the state of this franchise. It's way too mainstream, everybody. Way too mainstream, okay? And that's just my opinion. You know, if you guys disagree with me, let me know in the comments. I want to hear everything you guys think about this, because I truly believe this series has been going in a direction that is going to put it in the dirt, okay? It's already not too far from there, and I don't want the series in the dirt, but maybe it shouldn't have continued if this was how it's going to be handled. Scott, you're not the best writer when it comes to lore. That's okay. Your games aren't the best things in the world. That's also okay. Your games are great, but then, you know, you're not the best at this. But what you are great at is you created my childhood and helped brought me up with a awesome franchise. And what I will say is, you know, no matter what these companies decide to do with the franchise or whatever happens, you know, Scott Cawthon will always have the respect that, you know, he deserves. This is not on him. You know, obviously he doesn't want to, who would want their franchise to end? I have no, you know, blame on him for that, but I just really hope as we get more content that things start to change. I'm hoping maybe they can see the point, because a lot of the younger audience doesn't know the games like we do, who grew up on this and, you know, grew up enjoying this franchise and loving it. So hopefully it, you know, heads towards a better direction, but until then, overall, I'm not happy. I'm losing my love for this franchise each year. I'm glad Scott retired and is doing well, living off the success of all of his hard work, but I almost wish the franchise retired with him. So that's going to be it, guys. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Don't forget to drop some likes down below if you did. Subscribe. Let me know in the comments. Argue with me. Let's open up a dialogue, everybody. If you don't like what I'm saying, let me know. Let me know in the comments how you feel about this video. And yeah, see ya.